In Chapter 7, The Slug Club, Harry, Ron, and Hermione were going over what they just saw and were warning about what Malfoy was really doing in Nocturne Alley. Harry was the one who was most intrigued by what Malfoy was doing, and they kind of went farther. And Harry was like, you know, what if Malfoy is a Death Eater now? Harry was like, what if he's got a dark mark? And Ron and Hermione were like, "Nah, you're crazy." But Harry was like, it makes sense, you know, that he could be a Death Eater. He's like, everyone's like, he's only 16, he can't do this, he's not ready yet. But Harry's like, yeah, he has some big task. Harry is very suspicious, very suspicious. And the time comes around to go to Hogwarts, and Harry's kind of annoyed that Ron and Hermione aren't really backing him. But as they go get ready for Hogwarts, Mrs. Weasley wants them to get their stuff together so they're not rushing because they have an escort as well as the same cars, just like before, to get to the train station. So it's just different auras that are with them and ones that they're not used to. They haven't seen these auras before. And so they get on the train. But before, Harry asks for a word with Mr. Weasley and tells him about what he saw, that they followed Malfoy and all that. And he suggested the same thing, that maybe Malfoy could be a Death Eater or have like a dark mark or something, possibly, that he's working on because there's two items that Malfoy has or Malfoy's working on. One of them he wanted to be fixed in Diagon Alley. The other one is with him or somewhere undisclosed. And the fact that Malfoy was happy when he left didn't sit well with Harry. So when they got in the train, Ron and Hermione had to go with the perfect section. So Harry tried to get Ginny to sit with him, but then she's dating Dean Thomas now. So she had to go find him. And then Harry has gotten more attention after that article that he's the chosen one, especially with the girls. A lot of girls are coming up to him and giggling when they see him. He doesn't mind that attention too much, but it's just people staring at him. He kind of is annoyed by that a little bit. Then he finds Neville and Luna able to get in the car in a um, section with them, and they just talk about how things have been going, and he likes having them as friends and company. And they said they missed the Dumbledore's army classes, and it was hoping they would still have those sessions with him. But he's like, no, it's not really point having those anymore because we have a new teacher. Honestly, I would agree with them. I would think they should still keep doing those. But then time goes by, and Ron and Hermione come back, and they were just talking about who was at the meeting. They said Malfoy was not at the meeting, even though he was a perfect the previous year. He was not there, and they found that weird because he also wasn't like bullying anybody. Malfoy was being off to himself. They found that weird, and Harry wanted to go, and um, he was suspicious about it. He wanted to go and check it out. He was suspicious. But then a letter came, and it was an invitation from Professor Slughorn, and it came for Neville and Harry. And it was brought by a third-year girl who was giggling when she gave it to him. So Harry thought about putting on his cloak, invisibility cloak, with Neville so people wouldn't stare at him. But there's too many people in the hallway, so it wouldn't be easy to get through. So he had to walk down there, get more stares and giggles. He did see Cho, and she did give him a little smirk, but she was trying not to really talk to him. And they got down to Slughorn's room, and there was a bunch of people that Harry wasn't familiar with, and then Ginny was also in the room as well. And so it was a Slytherin kid, a Ravenclaw kid, and they just talked about like, as once they got started talking, Harry realized everyone in the room has some type of family member that is powerful or well known, and Harry was in the room because he's the chosen one, and Neville was in the room because of his parents, and maybe he has some abilities that are latent. And Harry did go back and thinking about how him and Neville could have been in switch roles. So Neville could have been the chosen one. Like it was very close to that situation. Ginny was only in the room because she performed the hex on Zacharias, and Slughorn just happened to see it. It was very like well done hex because he was annoying her. So they went back, and on the way back, since one of the kids was Slytherin, Harry was like, "I'm gonna sneak off and go follow him." So he threw on his cloak real quick and followed him into the Slytherin section, and he was able to sneak into the Slytherin compartment with Malfoy, Malfoy's girl, Pansy, Crab Coil, and some other Slytherins. And he just like jumped into the compartment for luggage. And Malfoy did peek up there when he jumped up there, but didn't make too much mind to it. They started talking, and Malfoy mentioned that he's got something going on this year, that he might not even come back for his 7th year because something big might happen. Then he started talking about, Voldemort, and maybe that he kind of said like he'd given him a task to do, and it was very important, and everyone kind of was intrigued about what this task was. And Malfoy didn't go too far into it, but he was making it seem like, some very important task that only he can do, and maybe he might, join the army, Voldemort's army, that type of things. And then they saw Hogwarts in the distance. Malfoy was like, okay, we should stop talking about this. Let's put on our robes and get ready. So they left. Before they left, Malfoy was like, I got, um, what was it, Crab, Goyle, reached up, grabbed the luggage, and hit Harry really hard, and he yelled at a little bit of pain. And then if Malfoy looked up again at where Harry was, Harry pulled out his wand, but then Malfoy didn't do anything. So everyone left, and then Malfoy stayed back for a second, and then he blasted Harry with a spell that immobilized him. And then he's like, I knew that was probably you up there. Stepped on Harry's nose, broke his nose, and then threw Harry's cloak back on him and was like, hopefully they don't find you until the train is back in London. This is probably one of the first times Malfoy's really got to jump on Harry, and yeah, it's not looking good.